In this project we will make this backpack, which is ideal for traveling or for baby stuff. Cut all the pieces out as directed on the pattern. The iron-on batting needs to be ironed onto the center of all the strap pieces and also to other pieces as directed on the pattern. On the wrong side of your straps, draw a line in the middle all the way through. Fold the fabric over on the one side with the raw edges on the line, iron it flat, and then fold the other side to the middle on the line and iron it again. Now do the cover strips. Draw the middle line, fold it over on the one side, press, and then fold the other side in and press. Now put the cover strips over the openings on the straps. See that it is centered and pin it, then sew it on the edges on both sides. This will be the right side of your strap. Do the same with the D-ring straps and also with the buckle straps. It is important to iron as you go. Slide the D-ring straps through the D-rings, fold it over and do a tacking stitch on the edges. Do the same with the buckle straps. If you put rivets in, it's time to do it now. Take your awl, make a hole in the middle between the seam allowance and the buckle and put your rivets in there. Do the same with all of them now, except for the strap for the back. We will do that one later on. Start with the side pocket. On the top edge you have marks. Fold the 1 centimeter mark over and press. Then fold it over on the 1.5 centimeter mark and press again. Sew it on the edge. This will be the pocket for the elastic. If you want to do free motion stitching on your bag, it's time to do it now before you attach the pieces. So do it on all the pieces where you want to do it. Open your 45 centimeter zip and put it on the zip panel. The stopper of your zip should be 1.5 centimeter from the top. Mark 1.5 centimeter from the bottom and pin the zip all the way through. Put the lining on with the right side down. The zip should lie between the layers. Mark the 1.5 centimeter at the top and also at the bottom of the lining. Sew the seam with the zip foot between the two marks at the top and the bottom. Do the same on the other side of the zip and the other panel. Fold the lining away. Put the side panel and the zip panel with right sides together. Pin it and sew a 1 centimeter seam. Fold the lining away and put a pin in. Do a top stitching. Do the same on the other side to attach the side panel and the zip panel. Tack these two together so that it doesn't move away. Put the front pocket, outer piece and the lining piece with right sides together. Sew a 1 centimeter seam allowance on both sides at the top. Then do your understitching with the seam on the lining. Put the bottom piece of the buckle with the right sides down and slide it in. The edges of the buckle strap needs to line up with the edges of your fabric. Sew a seam with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Do a double row to secure your seam. Turn it inside out, press and do a top stitching. Attach the two pieces at the sides and bottom on the edges with a tacking stitch. Pin the front pocket to the back front panel. Sew them about 3 to 5 millimeters from the edge. On the bottom corners of the side pockets, fold them in and sew a 1 centimeter seam allowance. To pull your elastic through the pocket, see that you have a safety pin that will fit in the pocket or any other tool. Pull the elastic through and see that the edges line up with the edges of the pocket on both sides. Sew the elastic on the one side on the edge of the fabric and also on the other side of the pocket. And overlock the corners, the sides and the bottoms of both pockets. Make sure that you have the marks on the side panels where the side pockets needs to be attached. Put the pockets right sides together with the side panel and then pin it at the marks on both sides and in between. See that it lines up in a straight line. Then sew it on with a 1 cm seam allowance. Fold the corners away from the sides. Pin the sides of the pockets to the edges of the side panels and sew them 3 to 5 mm from the edge. On the back panel, mark the center on the top edge. Pin a D-ring strap on each side of the center mark. Sew it on the edge. Put the handle on both sides of the center mark onto the straps and sew it on the edge. Put the top piece of the buckle with the right side down on the center of the handle. Sew it on the edge. If your machine struggles to sew on thick layers, use normal fusing instead of batting in the D-ring straps and the handle and also the buckle strap. You have marks on the bottom piece of the back panel on both sides. Put the D-ring straps on those marks to the top side. Attach the back panel to the side piece. Put the center marks on top onto each other. Clip or pin them together. Now pin the bottom center marks together and pin all around and sew it with a 1 cm seam allowance. When I get to these thick layers, I'm going to put this tool in to help the machine to sew over the layers. So the back piece is on. Now it's time to do the front piece. Make sure that everything lines up at the bottom and at the top at the center marks. Open the zip. Pin the front panel and the side panels all around and then sew it together with a 1 cm seam allowance as we did on the back piece. Turn it inside out and check all your seams to see if everything is fine. If you find anything wrong with your seams, it's time to fix it now before you put the lining in. Close the zip about 5 cm. Fold the edge of the zip away towards the back and pin it. Take the side panel of the lining and with the right sides together, pin it to the zip panel lining on the edges, both sides and then in between so that it can fit in where the zip is. Then sew the seam with 1 cm seam allowance and do the same on the other side. Sew the side panels together at the bottom with a 1 cm seam allowance. Put the zip in between the bottom and the top piece of the lining pocket. Overlook and do top stitching on both sides of the zip. Put the pocket on one of your panels, the front or the back panel of your lining, and attach it on the edges all around. Then close the zip halfway. Attach the front and back panels of the lining to the side panels. Mark the center pieces on the bottom and top and see that it lines up. Pin them all around, and when you sew it at the bottom on the one side, you're going to leave a piece open to be able to turn your bag inside out. When you're done with the stitching, turn your bag inside out. At the open piece in the seam at the bottom, fold the sides in and then do a top stitching on the edge. Pull out all the corners. To attach the lining to the outside on the top, put a pin in the seam and see that it lines up with the seam of the lining inside, and then pin it right through the seam. Do this on both sides on the top. Then pin on both sides of the seam or do a hand tacking on both sides to keep everything in place. And then you're going to sew in the ditch of the seam with a matching color so that the stitches will not be visible. You can use an edge foot and you will have a straight stitch line in the ditch. Put your strap with the right side up through the bottom of the slider and put it in on the other side and fold it back again. Fold the edge 1 centimeter to the inside and then do a straight stitching. Put the other edge of your strap through the D-ring, then pull the strap through and put it through the back of the slider. Pull it through again and then put it through the other side of the slider. Now you put the strap through the D-ring at the top to the bottom, fold it in 1 centimeter and do the same stitching as you did at the bottom one. Remember, when you do your second strap, that the folds should be exactly the same amount as the first one at the slider and also both the D-rings. So our bag is done. This bag is, the side pockets makes it a very nice bag for traveling or for baby stuff, because you can put water bottles or baby bottles or whatever in the side pockets. Then we have this nice big pocket on the front and then a nice big pocket inside with the zip. Enjoy the sewing of your backpack and remember to try out some of our other projects.